Alrighty, I'm talking about E3, specifically conferences I have watched, and just kind of want to talk about games I'm specifically interested in, as I did not watch it with anyone this year, and I kind of just want to, send it out into the void of the internet. Now, the first thing I watched, not technically part of E3, but the Summer Games Fest, uh, Wonderlands, or Wonderland, Wonderlands or Wonderland? I don't know. I think it's Lands. But the new Borderlands spin-off type of game with Tiny Tina. I'm a big Borderlands fan. Specifically, I love that the DLC in Borderlands 2 that seems to be what it's based off of, which is fucking cool. I'm a big fan of that. They didn't show pretty much any gameplay, unfortunately. They just had a kind of a little trailer, but I'm excited nonetheless. This second game was this game called Tribes of Midgard. That game looks pretty interesting. I think it looked like kind of almost Diablo-esque, to where it was, bird's eye type of view, almost hack and slashy. I think they mentioned there's like different classes you pick, but I think it's cool where it's kind of like almost like a deep tower, not really tower defense, but you're defending this tree against monsters while you're also going out to kill things, I believe, and look for loot before bigger monsters come, the farther you get into. Which is, that's pretty cool. That sounds like a really cool idea, and I think it looks great. So I am actually really looking forward to that as well. Solar Ash, also another game. I haven't played their other games. I know they made Hyper Light Drifter. I heard that game was pretty good. So they had a Solar Ash, I think, was announced a year ago, maybe 2 years actually, probably 2 years. But it looks also pretty cool. I really dig the style of it. I look forward to seeing more of that. I also put Blood Hunt, which is a battle royale, which I don't really care for battle royales that much, but the idea of being a vampire sounds kind of cool to me. So I'm interested in that game as well. Another announcement during the Summer Games Fest was a new studio for PlayStation, Deviation Games. I like Jason Blundell. He worked a lot on Black Ops 3, if not all of Black Ops 3. And then there's definitely some. I think he worked a little bit on Black Ops 2 along with someone else. Nonetheless, for like the zombie portion, I don't think I mentioned that. Zombie portions of Black Ops 3. And I love Black Ops 3 Zombies. I think it's great. So I'm very curious on what kind of game they're going to make. I would imagine it's probably going to be a first-person shooter of some sort, since I believe that's all they've worked on, along with Treyarch. But I'm not 100% sure on that, so who knows? I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. Back 4 Blood. Again, like another game we've already known about, but also still excited for. Like Left 4 Dead. Big fan of Left 4 Dead. I think they announced a PvP mode, which is sick. I remember playing the hell out of the PvP mode on Left 4 Dead with friends and family. So I'm pretty excited about that. Hopefully the game's good. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm pretty sure that game's on PlayStation too, which is obviously primarily what I play on. There's a Evil Dead game. I remember that also got announced previously, but I think this time they showed gameplay. I don't think they showed gameplay last time. And it actually looks kind of cool. I actually kind of very much looking forward to it. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of Friday the 13th. I only say that just because you're kind of in the forest and you're killing monsters while trying to run away from other monsters. But I know because if you can play as the monsters, I don't know if it's going to be exactly to where there's someone playing as a monster while other people are the survivors and you're trying to kill those people. Because it might be it. But I am actually pretty... I'm pretty interested in that game. It actually looks pretty good. I don't know. Hopefully it has, gameplay value and there's stuff to be built upon it. I'm excited to learn more about the game. Even though I'm not that big of a Evil Dead fan. But I think it looks kind of cool. And I think the biggest game for most people at the end of Summer Games Fest was Elden Ring. That's the game by... God, I'm going to I wish I remember his name. I think it's Miyazaki, but he does, you know, Souls games, Bloodborne, I believe, as well. I haven't really played them. I want to, because aesthetically, they look really cool. And Elden Ring definitely is no exception. That game looks phenomenal. I am very interested. Wasn't super interested before, but aesthetically, it looks super sick. And I'm curious, it looks almost open worldly, which would be kind of interesting too, compared to the previous games, which I don't believe are that open world. Played a little bit of Dark Souls 2, a little bit of Bloodborne. I definitely want to go back and play those two for sure before Elden Ring comes out. But yeah, Elden Ring looks pretty damn cool. Then the next conference I watched was the Xbox, which has some pretty cool, interesting stuff in there. Obviously, won't be able to play most of them till either. I would imagine most of these games are probably going to be on PC. I think Xbox has been pretty good about putting it on PC as well, which is super cool. So when I do eventually get a PC, I'll definitely play some of these for sure, or hopefully most of them if they're all good. Stalker 2 was the first one. I'm not super excited, but it looked kind of cool. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of Escape from Tarkov. I haven't played it, but it looks like kind of like slow, methodical gameplay, going along different kind of monsters. Because I mean, the gameplay looked fairly slow while trying not to die. I'm interested. It looked cool. The game did look good for sure. Battlefield 2042, also a game that's getting. They showed a multiplayer trailer during the conference, and it looks insane. They, you know, you put in a grapple hook, then you best believe I am interested. So big fan of that. Also, they have like tornadoes and shit. They're pulling things in. That's pretty interesting. Big thing for me though is definitely the grapple hook. That's just so cool. Big fan of grapple hooks. The only thing about this game is it being multiplayer only for $70. That would be kind of. I mean, you gotta have a lot of content to make that price, but you know, we'll see. Gameplay wise, it does look kind of fun though. Halo Infinite, another game that got announced, or rather not announced, but shown more of. Specifically, they showed more multiplayer, and I'm not super into Halo 4, and I didn't. It's not really fair to say because I didn't play Halo 5, but the gameplay didn't look super appealing to me. This time, Infinite actually looks sick. I don't know if it's nostalgia picking him or I just want to play Halo again because I missed that game. But man, it looks really good. And again, they have fucking grapples, and they use the grapple to like pull weapons in, hook onto a flying car. There's a name for it, but I'm drawing blank, and just kick them out of it. Super cool. It's super cool. Gameplay looks really fun. Hopefully the game's fun when it comes out, or whenever I get a PC myself. It looks really good. I'm excited. Also, it's free to play, which is interesting. That did not expect that. That's really cool. I think that's generally probably one of the best moves they could do. So, very much looking forward to that game. There's a game called, I'm gonna butcher this, like Eiyuden Chronicle, EIY, Uden. That game looks really cool, actually. They kind of use it's like a pixel art type of game. It reminds me of, because it looks turn-based, what it looks like to me. And we have like this interesting, I guess like 2D, 3D aspect to it. Unique camera work to get these cool special moves activated. Looks really cool, actually. I really dig that style. So I don't know if any other game has done that, but I'm looking forward to this game. It looks really cool. I'm a big fan of that. Another big game, The Outer Worlds 2. Fortunately, I don't think it's going to be on PlayStation this time. It's a bummer, but again, hopefully PC, hopefully. But yeah, big fan of the first one. Really big fan of the first one, actually. I enjoyed the hell out of that game. Love it to death. So, I didn't show much of the second one. They showed like a title screen trailer. It was great. Right, loved it. And yeah, I'm excited for that game as well, for sure. Atomic Heart. Another interesting game, especially with the music that was playing along with it. I don't know what was happening, but it looked interesting for sure. I definitely would not mind playing it myself. I don't know much about it, but trailer looked kind of cool. Replaced I believe that's a new game. People were kind of comparing it to Last Night. I would imagine I don't actually remember Last Night, to be honest. But Replaced looks super sick. I think it's supposed to be like an action platformer. Because it's like pixelated, but it has this cool, unique lighting and shading involved with it, and there's probably more to it than just lighting and shading. But it gives us this cool, unique style, and I'm a big fan of how it looks, especially. And I like pixel games, anyways. It never bothers me. So I am actually pretty interested in this game as well. And then the last game they showed was Redfall, which is a game by Arcane Studios. That's like Dishonored. They made other games, I'm sure. I'm drawing a blank. I think they made Prey. Could be cool. Again, it was a CGI trailer. I don't know. We saw zero gameplay. Don't know what exactly it is. It looks like a 4-player PvE type situation, although they could have people playing as vampires. But yeah, I mean, every character seemed to have their own abilities. They're killing vampires. Looked kind of cool. The next thing I watched was Square Enix. This was an interesting one. I actually don't think I don't have a lot on this list now I'm looking at it. First game they showed, Guardians of the Galaxy. Pretty cool. I think it looks pretty good. Nothing amazing, I would say, for me. But it isn't a live service game like Avengers was. So I think that already gets thumbs up in its own regard. It's just full-on single-player. You play as Star-Lord. You kind of use the other Guardians as like kind of like Final Fantasy VII, where you're pressing like L1 and choosing a move for them, and they do something. Looks kind of cool, right? I think it could be fun. I'm very much interested in it. Babylon's Fall I put on here, but this is like the thing about this game is the first trailer when it first got announced. I believe a PlayStation thing was super cool, right? And it's Platinum Games. That's Nier. I love Nier. I mean, I haven't quite played. I haven't downloaded. I've watched gameplay of it. Right, it looks sick. 2 basic arrays. I love playing as Soul Calibur. It's hack and slashy, right? That's kind of what that game is. So a big fan of those games. Babylon's Fall apparently Babylon's Fall is now a live service game, which I don't think they mentioned that before. I'm not sure how I feel about that, obviously, because of Avengers. I think Avengers really put a sour taste in most people's mouths. I think most people would prefer just a single-player hack and slash game with, like Nier, like the other games. I think Nier is probably the big one. I mean, it's definitely the one I know him for. So going the direction they took, and especially the way it looks, comparing to the newest trailer to the older trailer, it looks kind of bad, right? It looked worse this time around. And apparently, I mean, it being multiplayer is kind of cool, right? A big fan of playing with friends. But I don't know. It feels kind of, it looks kind of weird. So I don't want to write it off yet. I'll keep my eye on it though and see exactly where it goes. Because it's a live service game, so it can easily not be great. Because they can just leave out content and then add it in later, and I kind of, who wants that really? So who knows? We'll see. And then the last game they showed, which everyone's been memeing on, of course, is the Final Fantasy game. Was it Final Fantasy Origins Strangers of Paradise? I'm still into it, right? It's a Team Ninja game. That's the main reason why I'm into it, because they made Neo, and I love Neo. Neo's sick. just like aesthetically, it doesn't look great. It looks kind of like everything looks like dark and gloomy. Doesn't look to be a ton of color compared for what the trailer has shown. Don't know if that's gonna be the whole game. The main character is literally a bald guy with like a normal T-shirt. So you know, saying it's the origin of Final Fantasy, right? Probably similar like 1, and then them looking like normal people. Kind of weird choice, right? A little bit of a weird choice. Doesn't look very Final Fantasy. Like, a lot of people are comparing it to like Devil May Cry. Granted, that might be more of the gameplay. The gameplay looks kind of... The gameplay definitely looked kind of like Devil May Cry for sure. But I think, like, there wasn't a lot of color. Especially for what I... Not that I'm a big Final Fantasy guy, to be fair. So I don't really know about the other Final Fantasy games, because there's a lot of them. But I played 7. Right, and there's definitely parts in 7 where, you know, there's colors. You know, there's a lot of colors. It doesn't look to be a lot of colors in this game. Still Team Ninja. I'm interested nonetheless. It could potentially be good. Who knows? And then Nintendo was... There's definitely a few things in there for sure. Smash. Right? They added... And Kazuya. I probably fucked up the name, didn't I? But, you know, guy from Tekken. That's fucking cool. Actually... You know, I'm not super big in Tekken, but I do generally love playing fighting games. I like Tekken 7. So it's, you know, seeing more fighting game characters in Smash, it's super cool. And he looked super cool. He had like an install type of thing. Granted, it was when he did certain moves. I don't know how it works. Cool nonetheless. Metroid, new Metroid game. 2D platforming thing. Also cool. I think people are excited. I mean... I think people are excited. It hasn't been a Metroid game in forever, I don't think. Definitely, I'm interested for sure. Not that I'm not a super big Metroid fan. I don't think I've really played them. I don't even know when the last one came out and what system it was on. Because I think the first system I had was 64. And then I think the next system after that was the Wii. I don't know if there was a Metroid game at all between that time. There might have been. Actually, not 100% sure, to be honest. But cool. And then they showed more stuff on Breath of the Wild 2, which I know people are definitely excited for. I haven't played the first one. I don't have a Switch, so that's the main reason why I haven't played it. But I want to, and I do plan on getting a Switch one day, and that's definitely one of the games for sure. So that's probably one of the bigger games they have for sure, along with like Mario Odyssey and stuff like that. Breath of the Wild looks sick. Of course. I do want to mention 2 games that are kind of were not outside. I mean, I think they were part of E3, but I only watched those conferences. I actually, you know, before I forget, I did watch Gearbox, but there's literally nothing to talk about there, so I skipped it. Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't have to mention it. I skipped it. It wasn't anything good. Anyway, there's 2 games. Doki Doki Literature Club's coming to console. I've already played it on like my shitty laptop. Because I mean, it's just a visual novel. Big fan of Doki Doki though. I think it's great. I love that game so much. As silly as it sounds, I definitely would put it like top 5 games of all time for me. A big fan of that game. I think it's such a cool experience. Loved it a lot. And then they're putting Hades on the PS4 and PS5, which is awesome. I know Hades is the game everyone's talking about. I honestly thought it was on Xbox, so I think it got announced to go on Xbox, and I guess it wasn't. Could've sworn it was on Xbox, but yeah, they're also putting it on PlayStation, which is awesome. And the game looks sick. Art style looks amazing. Cool, fun idea of the game for sure. You die, but you're still making progress, getting story every time you die. It's super cool. I'm a big fan. So yeah, very much looking forward to that. And then the last thing that I'll watch, which actually I haven't watched yet, I will be watching that soon. I'll just cut it right after this. Is Bandai Namco. I'll tell you if there's anything good. Cutting here. Alright. They showed nothing. I guess it was just a show of House of Ashes. Though it's weird to me Because like I looked at the E3 schedule, they didn't mention that, right? I think they had to mention it like today. I feel like. Anyway, it was a whole hour of the same thing. I didn't watch the whole thing, you know. I just learned that after the fact. Whatever, you know. I guess that's it. All right.